Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to the Reformed Temple of Forest Hills. I'm Rabbi Mark Kaiserman, along with Cantor Emily Wygod Pincus. We're delighted to celebrate Shabbat with you, whether here in person in our sanctuary or joining us on our live stream feed. Passover is a journey. We reflect the journey of the Israelites from escaping slavery to standing 7 days later, this morning's Torah portion, at the shores of the sea. And then after the shores of the sea to what comes next, which is often much harder in one's journey than the direct path told by God to find the way to go in life. And tonight's Shabbat will give each of us opportunities to connect on our own path, wherever we may be in the world, whatever we may be struggling or celebrating with, the joys that are into our world, the hopes, the possibilities, the sadness and the pain, or all of them together. Shabbat is our chance to turn to each other, to turn to ourselves, and find power in the universe. As we begin our Shabbat service, we begin with light and bringing the power and love of light into the world. And we invite up Brandon and Jennifer Krieger to help light our Shabbat candles. Page 120 in our prayer books, using the page numbers that are in the brackets. Continue with the Kiddush on page 123. Please rise. Please be seated. The Kiddush is a prayer of sweetness, and on their best days, there is nothing sweeter than our children. And when we welcome children into our lives, we welcome such joy and hope and possibility into the world. And so we welcome up to our congregation Aspen Morse, to celebrate her naming along with her family, Daniel, Megan, and Sage. Now, Sage is an old pro at being up here. She's been up here before, but Aspen, it's your first time up here, and we're going to celebrate you with some special words from me and from the cantor and from your mommy and daddy. So here we go. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imutenu, kayemet yalda hazot, la'aviha ulima, ve'yikrash shmei b'Yisrael, Danica bat Daniel the root. Our God, God of our mothers and fathers, sustain this child through her parents' loving care. Let her be known among our people Israel by the name Danica, and in English, Aspen October Morse. May her name be a source of joy to her and inspire her to serve our people and all humankind. May her parents and her sister rejoice in her growth of body and soul. As they have brought her into the Brit, into the covenant, so may they, with wisdom and patience, lead her to the study of Torah, to Masim Tovim, a life of good deeds, and to Chuppah, a life of sacred connections. And let us say, Amen. And now we're going to hear a little bit about how you got these names from your parents.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My name is Daniel Morse, and I'd like to introduce this congregation to three beautiful women. My loving wife, Megan, Ruth, and our daughters, Sage Ruth and Aspen October. We stand before you this April evening here in this sanctuary to introduce and celebrate our 2-year-old daughter, Aspen, just as we did on an evening in April 4 years ago for our daughter, Sage. I'd like to talk about why we named our daughter Aspen October and how she obtained her Hebrew name Danica. Throughout Megan's pregnancy, we discussed potential names for our baby. As we did for Sage, we wanted to wait until birth to find out the sex. So Megan and I discussed potential names for either a boy or a girl. From early on, we were fairly certain that if we had a girl, her name would be Aspen. We are a nature-loving family, so primarily we named her Aspen after the breathtakingly beautiful aspen tree. We love the aspen tree's uniquely heart-shaped leaves and their beautiful coloring, most significantly in the autumn months. In the fall, aspen leaves turn a copper to shimmering gold color. Megan and I love the color of the aspen tree so much in the fall that we had to give her the middle name October. To those that also love and appreciate nature, when hearing the name Aspen October, you could envision the aspen tree in October when it is at the peak of its beauty. The beautiful gold and copper leaves are only further complemented by the tree's strikingly white and smooth bark. Knowing what you now know about the aspen tree, one might think Aspen was named after birth. It was unbeknownst to us at the time that our daughter Aspen would have the features similar to the physical features of the aspen tree. In the sunlight, her copper-colored hair with gold highlights shimmers against her light skin, much like the gold leaves and white bark of the aspen tree in October and throughout the fall. At the time we decided upon her name, we were unaware of how it was perfectly fitting for the baby she was and the girl she would become. From the time Megan was pregnant, Aspen was always a mystery. We knew Megan was pregnant, but the doctors were puzzled when it came to providing us with a due date. Was she going to be born in early December or mid-January? For reasons they couldn't explain, it was very difficult to estimate based on the positioning and the size of her in Megan's belly. The chart doctors often used to identify a due date was useless in Aspen's case. It had become a guessing game. When it came time to provide us with ultrasound images, she would not face the camera no matter how hard Megan or the doctors tried. We had no idea what she looked like until she was born, and even then we weren't sure if she had red, blonde, or brown hair. And if she had red hair, who did she get that from? To this day, we're not certain if she has brown, green, or hazel-colored eyes. We had so many questions before we met her, and even more after we had. Just like Sage, Aspen is super sweet and very happy. These sisters love each other. Whether they're eating dinner, playing, or laughing around, or lounging around, they love to be with one another. Behind those big bright eyes and huge smile, Aspen is always brimming with excitement. so much so that she shakes. She is always laughing, smiling, and playing. It's not until bedtime when we have to say goodnight does that change. She doesn't want to go to bed. She wants to be with us all day and all night. When it comes to her spirit, she is innocently wild and fearless. Being our second daughter, Megan and I utilized everything we had learned as parents to Sage when raising Aspen. But we quickly realized we needed a new plan. Aspen is not bound by our parental rules or wishes. She takes orders from and answers to a higher authority than us. Which would make sense, since in the times of old, the aspen was sacred and beloved by God. It was seen as the tree of heroes. Aspis is the Greek name for aspen. It means shield. The Greeks thought that it had magical powers and protective qualities. Its leaves were used in the crowns of heroes. During forest fires, the aspen tree is always the last to burn and the first to repopulate and replenish the landscape. Aspens grow all the time, even in the winter. With copper and gold heart-shaped leaves and their white bark, aspens are beautiful yet strong, just like our baby. When Megan and I discussed what Aspen's Hebrew name would be and who we'd name her after, it was a very easy decision. Since the aspen tree has been known as the tree of heroes throughout time, we'd have to name her after a real hero. Since the aspen tree has been known as the tree of heroes throughout time, Since the aspen tree has been known as the tree of heroes throughout time, we'd have to name her after a real hero. There was only one person that came to mind. Megan's grandfather, Donald, was an American superhero. As a Marine, Megan's grandfather fought bravely in World War II at the young age of 18. He was a gunner that flew on bombing missions. But he didn't fly in the plane. He flew under the plane, positioned in a ball turret. The turret held the gunner 2 heavy machine guns, ammunition, and sights. There was no room inside for even a parachute, which was left in the cabin above the turret. Somehow, he survived World War II, and when he came back home, he became a New York City police officer until his retirement. After hearing about his bravery in battle as a Marine in World War II and his years of service as a New York City police officer, you might think he was harsh or gruff, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Megan will tell you, and Melissa will tell you, that the most amazing thing about her grandpa was his love and dedication to his family and especially his grandchildren. He was the total family man. If you needed help, no matter how big or small, he was there. If you asked him to pick somebody up from the airport, he had his shoes on before you were done asking. He was always involved in whatever was going on in the house, and he'd have it no other way. Megan and her family are constantly reminiscing over Grandpa's stories. He would drive to see family regardless of the distance. Being such a big part of Megan's life, I luckily got to know him as well. I remember he told some of the greatest stories I ever heard, and he lived through those stories to tell the story. Sadly, he is no longer with us. However, his spirit lives on in our minds. And to ensure his memory is never forgotten, Aspen's Hebrew name is Danica, borrowing the D from Megan's grandfather, Donald. Aspen will wear it well and make him very proud. It's amazing to think about, but none of this would be possible without her grandfather. My family wouldn't be here tonight without him. He and his name will live on. One day when Aspen is older and she's asked why her Hebrew name is Danica, she will have a hero story to tell. And she will be so proud to tell it. She's named after an American hero. In Hebrew, Danica means morning star. A morning star is a planet that is still visible in the early morning. Most commonly, this planet is Venus. And fittingly enough, the planet Venus was named after the ancient Roman goddess of love and beauty. It is the only planet named after a female god. Lastly, I want to honor Megan by telling you how proud I am of her. Like her grandfather, everything Megan does is out of love for her family. There is nothing Megan wouldn't do for her family. These 2 girls are very lucky to have my cherished wife as their mother. Thank you.
So, Aspen, we have a couple very special blessings for you just in your honor today. The first we want to show is that we have this beautiful certificate. It's just all about you. So, share with you and have. And we share this special moment with our blessing of special moments, the Shehechianu.
Baruch atah
Adonai
Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehechianu v'kiyanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who gave us life and gave us the opportunity to find our place in this world and celebrate it. Amen. And now there's a blessing that we share at all sorts of special moments. We share it at namings, at bat mitzvah, at weddings, and all throughout Jewish life. This moment, these words from the Torah.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and take care of you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha.
May the light of God shine upon you as you surely shine as a morning star on all of us.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasim lecha shalom.
May you always feel the power of all those who love you. Your family who stands right here with you, your family who's right out there celebrating you, and all those who will come to love you and share life with you. May you take in their love and may you give it back to them. And let us say, Amen.
Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, mazel tov, siman tov. Yehelanu, 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 Uvechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Uvechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Uvechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Uvechol Yisrael.
As we've welcomed Aspen into our community and to the world, we welcome the Sabbath bride and each other with Lecha Dodi, page 138. We'll sing verses 1, 2, and then rise for verse 9.
Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat v'Kavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat v'Kavela. Shamor v'Zachor,
B'divor echad, Ishmianu el hamilchad. Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, Hashem ul tiferet v'litfilah. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat v'Kavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat v'Kavela. Likrat Shabbat, Lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor habracha. Merosh mikedem mesucha, Sof maseh v'machshava tchila. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat v'Kavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat v'Kavela. Please rise. Boi v'shalom, Ateh toch emunei, am segula, boikala, boikala. The call to worship the Baruch Hu is on page 146. Together in the middle of page 150. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema
Please be seated. Page 154. Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher Anoki tzaveka hayom Vishinantam Livanecha, Vidibarta Bam, Vishivtika Bvetecha, Uvlektika Vaderech, Uvshokbeka Uvkumecha, Ukshartam Leod Al Yadecha, Vehayula Totafod Beinenecha, Uktavtam Al Mizazopetecha, Uvisharecha, Leman Tizkeru, Vasitem et Kol Mitzvotai, V'yem Kedoshim Lelohechem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher Hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, V'yot lachem le'Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem Emet. A reading as we conclude Passover. We remember on this day our crossing of the sea so long ago, when Miriam, Moses, and all the Israelites sang this song to God. Adonai is my strength and song, who has become my deliverance. This is my God, whom I will enshrine. So too do we sing out in praise on this day of redemption. Page 158.
Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you,
A song for Shabbat, page 162. Words from the book of Exodus, chapter 31. We turn now to the Tefillah, the center section of the evening worship, beginning on page 164. We'll be using only the even-numbered pages. A reminder that when we get to the second of the major prayers, the Givurot, we are now, as of this week, officially on summertime on the Jewish calendar. So make sure to do that line and not the winter line in that prayer. Page 164, please rise. Together on 170. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. In the middle of page 175. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, Shodcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. A prayer we certainly need in our world and in our lives, a prayer for peace, page 178. We continue with our own private prayers.
So this is a nigun, that means a wordless melody, that we have been singing for a couple of weeks now. The melody actually originated in the Ukraine and made its way to Israel, and then became a popular High Holy Day melody to the text of Ki Hine Kachomer. But today we are just singing the melody and thinking about Ukraine, and our hearts are with them.
We continue with Seder Kriyat Torah, the reading of our Torah. We invite our friend Emily Marino to join us up on the bima. Page 364, please rise.
Adonai, Mirushalayim.
seated. Torah portion for this week is a little confusing because Reform Jews and Israeli Jews have ended Passover as of sundown, so it is now just the next day. But conservative and Orthodox Jews are still celebrating Passover today as the 8th day of Passover, because 7 days in the Bible isn't good enough. There's an 8th. That means, what Torah portion do you do? For conservative and Orthodox Jews, they're doing the Torah portion for the 8th day of Passover. What do we do? So we typically take next week's Torah portion and divide it in two and do some of it this week and some of it next week. It would be great if that Torah portion was like Yitro or Bereshit, but it's Acharei Mot, not on the top 10 of everyone's favorite Torah portions. It's a very Leviticus-heavy Torah portion, speaking about the holiness of the priests. And we'll be reading from the very beginning of Acharei Mot, Leviticus chapter 16, verse 1. If you want to follow along in Hebrew or in English, the Torah commentaries are under your seats. It's on page 770. And we are delighted to invite up Amy Geffen and George Shapiro for our Aliyah to the Torah.
One, two, three. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bacha banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. וידבר אדוני אל משה אחרי מות שני בני אהרון בקרבתם לפני אדוני וימותו. ויאמר אדוני אל משה דבר אל אהרון אחיך ואל יבוא בכל עת אל הקודש מבית לפרוכת אל פני הכפורת אשר אל אהרון ולא ימות כי באלן יראה אל הכפורת בזאת יבוא אהרון אל הקודש בפר בן בקר לחטאת ועיל לעולם כתונת.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nota b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Thank you both very much. Thank you. Shalom. With the Torah out in front of us, we offer a special prayer of healing and hope for all those who are sick or ill. We think of all of those still struggling with COVID here and across the world. We think of all of those people in the Ukraine suffering from injuries from the war inflicted upon them by Russia. We think of those closer to home, people in our temple community and family. Elaine Wall, Jamie Stern, Leah Stern, Joan Lipton, Arlene Green, Sadie Rosenkrantz, Roberta Traeger, Jody Ann Herman, Judith Lacasio, Rochelle Weinberg, Don Levy, Larry Bloom, Arnold Gilbert, Barbara Gilbert, Jane Levy, Brenda Levinson, Debbie Ball, Jenny Davidowitz, Pedro Cintrone, Theodore Grossberg. As we think of other names, we invite you to share names with us. If there's someone you're particularly thinking of, we invite you to put it into the chat on our live stream or share the name out loud with all of us here in the sanctuary.
Marianne.
For all those we can bring strength and hope to, we share in a Misha Barak for healing, a prayer for healing and hope in the middle of page 371. As we lift and dress the Torah, please rise. Turn to page 374 as we return the Torah to the Ark and invite Scott Scheidlauer to join us on the bima. Please be seated. I want to talk for a moment about bad things. Bad things are a part of life. We all have bad things happen throughout our lives. Sometimes bad things are truly terrible. Sometimes they're so terrible, they're beyond words that we know how to share or formulate. We struggle with the theology of responding to trauma. So much so there's a word just for that, theodicy. Sometimes we spend more time trying to understand why something happened and not enough on what we might do next. When something awful happens around us, in our family, in our community, in our world, we can spend time sharing how horrible that something is. But that doesn't make a positive difference after the fact. If anything, it just spreads more horrible. While every situation is different, the one thing we can always do is act. We might be honest with our emotions, cry, struggle, mourn. Our grief helps us accept the reality that is beyond our comprehension. The number one thing to reach out to someone we know and care about who has trauma in their life, to reach out to them. Sometimes we are cautious. When something bad happens to someone we know, we don't want to intrude on their loss, so we stay away. But the lesson we teach that person is that we're not thinking of them. We don't care about them. No matter how much we're thinking about them in our own heart, and our own thoughts, our own tears even, they don't know that, so they don't know we care. If you are friends or family of someone who's had a loss, it's time to be there for them, to help them with tasks, to hug them, to cry with them. If you're not quite that good a friend, or even further an acquaintance, we are blessed with numerous forms of communication that are less direct: a phone call, a text, an email. Just saying, "I am thinking about you," can help when someone feels so alone. There's a reason we send deli platters to Shiva. We want to do something. And food seems like an appropriate Jewish form of comfort. But there are other ways to help. Volunteer to answer phones, take care of their kids, clean their house if you have that kind of relationship. And when you feel those kind of things are too intrusive and beyond your connection with someone, or when the pain for someone is far away, after you call or email or text, do something in honor of those they lost. Make a donation somewhere. Help someone else out locally. Respond to the moment of a loss by doing something good. Telling your kids that you love them. Call your mother. Call someone else's mother. Volunteer somewhere. Pull your family and friends together to cherish and love. We can't always help those in pain, and our job is not necessarily to help them, but to be there for them. Sometimes we aren't the right person at a time of pain. Sometimes we don't have the right skills, but we can always do something. When bad things happen to others, make it the reason that good things happen to others. This week, we've seen incredible pain in the Forest Hills community. If you or someone you know needs to talk to someone or share, please have them be in touch with me. I'm available to listen. We have a trained trauma social worker also available to connect with anyone struggling with these recent events. Bad things happen, and it isn't simple to explain why. What happens next should always be sharing, love, comfort, and bringing more good into the world. Shabbat Shalom. One form of good we bring into the world is hearing about the good that is in each other's lives. If you have a simcha, something positive and meaningful that has happened to you in recent days or upcoming days, please raise your hand. I'll head over to you. Tell us your name and what good thing is happening in your world.
My name is Arlene Green. I received a gift this week that I will treasure forever. It's a siddur, and inside the front cover was a dedication that was probably placed there about 40 years ago. And it's in loving memory of Sam Feldman, who happened to be my grandfather. And then it says, beloved uncle of Jose Wichalewski, who was my cousin who died 3 weeks ago.
Hi, I'm Jody Herman. I'm going to my sister's wedding tomorrow.
My name is Emily. I had my second booster last Monday. It was a 3-day experience, but I'm glad I had it done.
My name is Scott, and last week I was at the communal Seder here at the Reform Temple. It was wonderful.
My name is Marty Davidowitz, and this coming week, our oldest son is celebrating his birthday.
I'm George Shapiro. My wife, Amy Geffen, is celebrating her birthday on Sunday, and also we had a Passover service Seder with my sons Doug and Kylie, and Zoom to my son in Arizona, Andrew and Emily. Thank you.
I'm Martin Morse, and I'm very proud of my son and my daughter-in-law for the naming of my grandchild.
My name is Billy, and my gallbladder removal was successful.
We take strength in each other's blessings and happiness and look forward to sharing more of them with each other each day and each week. We turn now to our concluding blessings of the service, beginning with the Aleinu in the middle of page 586. Please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula liyotzeh breshit, shelo asanu kigoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gur aleinu kechol ha'olam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei ha'malchim, hakadosh baruch hu, ve'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol ha'aretz, vayom ha'hu yeh Adonai echad, u'shmo echad.
Please be seated. The gift of memory means no one is ever truly gone. They're always in our heart, always in our lives. We see them in the children that were named for them, and their physical features of those who were born from the same biological family. We hear them in their wisdom, in the connection and the love, and the gifts that they give to the world, much as those they knew before gave to the world. This week marks the yahrzeit, the anniversary of many people, including Emily Ansbacher Marks, Abraham Besserman, Helen Bachansky, Philip Daintree, Stanley Eisner, Emmanuel Feldman, Molly Finkelhar, Bernard Gilbard, Joseph Giller, May Gilman, Edward Glickman, Minnie Glickman, Beatrice Goldenberg, Edward Goldenberg, Fanny Goldman Halperin, Mariam Horowitz, Paul Joseph, Jack Katz, Annie Klein, Hermine Neller, Leon Coopersmith, Joan Lee, Rose Lewis, Florence Liebman, Ben Lipton, Joseph Lopin, Augusta Miller, Irene Nagy, Irving Newman, Sam Nogood, Lena Pantiel, Milton Pasternak, Lieutenant Joseph Pearl, Patricia Penny, Bruce Perlmutter, Jack Posner, Richard Reinhardt, Rose Rosenbaum, Suzanne Ross, Betty Rose Rubin, Sam Rush, Bess Schindler, Burton Schwartz, Herman Shanin, Samuel Smiley, Barry Smith, Joe Sober, Julian Stern, Jules Strauss, Jeffrey Sean Tischler, Lee Tobin, Irving Weislitz, Lee Wilson, Sadie Winston, Arnold Wall. We note in sadness the recent passings of Deborah Bashansky, friend of Alvin Weingartner, our member Orsolio Gaal, wife of Howard Klein, mother of Jamie and Leo, Lydia George, aunt of Judy Williams, Cantor Jose Wichelewski, cousin of Arlene Green, Marlene Handler, friend of Cheryl Hausman. If you are observing a yard site or just have a name that's close to your heart at this moment, we invite you to share it aloud with all of us or to place the names into our chat on the live stream.
Everyone who's died of COVID and all the Ukrainians killed by the Russians.
For all those we love, for all those we always miss. The Mourner's Kaddish, page 598. Please rise. Yitgadal, Yitgadash, Shemei Rabbah, Be'amad, Evrak, Rute, V'yamlich Malchute, V'chayachon, V'yomechon, V'chayedecho Beit Yisrael, Bagalav Zman Kariv, V'yamru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mivarach Le'olam Amei Amaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei D'Kudusha Barechu Le'ela Minko Birkata v'shirata Tushbakata v'nechmata Damiran Be'ama v'yamru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael v'yamru Amen. Hoseh Shalom Merumah Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael v'yamru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to every broken heart. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. A few notes for tonight and for the weeks ahead. First, thanks to everyone who's joined us here tonight. We're so glad to have you here as part of our community every time, whether you joined us on live stream or here in person. Our congratulations to Aspen on her naming today, and to her whole family who joins here to celebrate her and her independence and love and spirit that will surely just grow over time. Thanks to Paul, who played our piano tonight, and we welcome him thank him for joining our community, and Bonnie, who joined us as always on flute for their beautiful music. Torah study is tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Zoom. If you've been thinking, maybe I should come to Torah study. Tomorrow we're doing the 10 Commandments, so it's a pretty good day to come. Next Friday night, April 29th, as part of our Shabbat evening service, we will have reflections on Yom HaShoah, on Holocaust Remembrance Day, in song and in poem. We are continuing to collect supplies for Ukraine. There's information at the box at the bottom of the stairs. On Saturday, May 7th, we have a celebration of Stephen Sondheim in concert here at the synagogue. We hope you're all signing up and joining us for that. On Friday, May 13th, we have a service reflecting on my 25 years as a rabbi, and we hope you're joining us for that. There are many other events happening all throughout the month of May. Check your e-blast each Wednesday to make sure you're on top of all of them. Tonight's oneg will be done in two parts, a leavened and an unleavened part. For those of you who have ended Passover and are ready to move on with your pizza-loving life, there are cookies and other such things out there. For those of you who are still in Passover and have one more day, I think there's like a box of matzah and maybe a macaroon or something in the back, so you have your options too. As we do that, we're going to offer up the motzi, and on your way out, if you can please make sure at the end of services to return your prayer books to the table, and the oneg is in the ballroom around the corner to your right. So we offer up the motzi. I'd love to invite up if Sage to come back up here and bring your cousin, friend, neighbor? Anyone, just coming up, the younger people, who I don't know yet, but I'm happy to make acquaintances with. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon.
Avon, bon appetit, and we conclude with Adon Olam. Oh, page 625.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Sometimes.
Yeah? Did you have students this week? Really? You don't have off for Easter vacation or
Everybody's
something?
asking for extra leave.
Oh,
Because of
recital coming up?
this, yeah. So like finals of the,
He's good. Very nice pianist. Are you gonna get a cookie or something, or are you gonna leave like right away?
I have to actually talk with Cantor, so
Okay. We'll be in the ballroom, so when you're ready,
I'll go to the ballroom.
right, the only thing is that it's pretty dusty. I didn't have time to clean it, we just took it from my mother's apartment. So you're gonna need to clean it off a little bit.
Okay.
And I think I brought the booklet on how to work it.
Oh, wow.
Not that you need it, but you
Oh,
know.
that's fun to read.
Okay? Yeah, I know. No, but it's got AM, FM, it's got 2 cassettes, got the CD player, and it doesn't diaper the baby, I'm sorry.